So today we're making sausage gravy and biscuits and eggs. And sorry about all the camera moving around. I'm pretty new at this, but I'll get better. So first we're just going to use 2 of those cans of jumbo flaky biscuits. Preheat the oven to 350 like it says. I get some parchment paper and I like to put it on my tray just to A, help the biscuits from sticking, and B, it helps to keep the tray from getting too messy. And so typically it's my husband, myself, and our 5 kids. We always have people that are coming over and just stopping by, usually around dinner time. Sometimes the kids have friends. Well, usually the kids have friends over. And so I try to make a little bit extra. So minimum, I'm feeding 7. Sometimes I'm feeding up to 15 or 20 people for dinner. I usually don't know until I'm making it. So I'm just putting the biscuits on the tray. There's nothing special about them. They're just cheap, pre-made biscuits. I just throw in the oven. Makes it a nice, quick, easy dinner. So yeah, I'm going to just get that all together and throw away my garbage. So then I just put the biscuits in the oven. And I'm getting ready to start my sausage there in a minute. The sausage is a premium original sausage. It's just Great Value brand. Nothing fancy. Just a couple bucks at Walmart. And I hate touching raw meat. So I always, if I have the gloves, I wear them. And I typically do have them because I hate it. I feel like I can never get my hands clean enough after touching raw meat. And it just helps me. I still wash my hands afterwards, even though I wear the gloves. But it just makes me feel so gross. I don't like it. So there, I've got the temperature there on that burner at around 5 or 6, or like a medium to medium high heat. And we're just gonna brown up that sausage afterwards. Yep, and cook that down a little bit. Make it nice and brown, and it smells so good while it's cooking too. I love it. I don't actually season the sausage because it has a pretty nice flavor on its own anyway. I do season the gravy, however, after, like, as I'm making the actual gravy. So right now it's just the sausage in the pan, nothing else. And I typically like to wait until the sausage has like a little bit of crispiness to it. You can see there that some of the pieces are a little bit on the crispy side. That's how I know, that's how I like it. I think it's delicious that way. It's a little caramelized. And that grease at the bottom, you need that for your gravy. You got to have fat to flour ratio. Sometimes I'll add a little extra butter if there's not enough fat. Or if I'm trying to stretch the gravy out a little bit, maybe, so, especially if I'm feeding a larger family. And I use that rubber, oh my goodness, what's it called? A whisk. That rubber whisk, because those pans, they scratch really easily, and that's actually a really good whisk to use. It's a Carote brand. So now I'm adding my flour. I don't measure usually. I'm just not good at it. I just do it. I feel it. So I like to add enough flour in to where it's just coating it. You can see that it's like got a little bit of whiteness around the sausage. That's still a little bit too greasy for me, so I'm adding a little bit more there. And then that'll be enough there once it gets all whisked together and it's all coated with, all the sausage is coated with flour. And then I'll add my milk, and it's just regular whole milk. I think I got it from Aldi, so fairly cheap. And then we just whisk that in. I usually like to whisk it while I'm pouring it in, but I was holding the camera, so I had to do it, dump the milk in first and then whisk it. And I like to do a little bit less than what you would think, and then just add some more later, because sometimes, I don't want it to be too thin. If it's too thick, you can always thin it out, but if it's too thin, it's pretty difficult to thicken it up without it getting all clumpy and gross. So I add a little bit more milk there and just whisk that in. And I then turn it down to a simmer because it's pretty much done at that point. Then I'm going to start the eggs, and I have that burner at between like a 2 and a 3, so like a low heat. And while I'm waiting for that butter to melt, I just start seasoning the gravy. A little bit of table salt, a little bit of pepper, just a touch of garlic powder, and get that all mixed up in there. I typically like to use garlic salt instead of salt and garlic powder, but I was out, so I just made do with what I had. It still tastes delicious, and it was smelling amazing at that point too. So now I've got the butter all nice and melted, and I'm going to put 3 eggs in the pan. I intended to do over easy eggs, but as you'll see, I ended up not having that happen. They came out closer to a medium egg, but that's fine. My kids aren't picky. I'm not a chef, and I don't claim to be. I'm just a mom that cooks really good and feeds people, and I know how to do it real cheap, so I'm trying to help everybody out here, especially since grocery prices are so ridiculously high now. And I put the lid on the eggs because it helps to cook them a little bit quicker all the way around instead of just on the bottom. So now I'm going to try to section them off into 3 pieces because it was starting to bubble in the middle there. That's how you know they're about ready to be flipped. And then as you see, I section it, and that first egg broke. Sad story there, sad story. But my kids ate it anyway. And then the other 2 flipped fine. But they ended up coming out medium hard. And then we just put the lid back on and wait probably another 30 seconds or so. And then I just whisk up the sausage gravy again since it was sitting there. I did turn the heat off by this point. I was just trying to make sure it stayed warm and get it all whisked up there. Now this gravy came out a little bit thicker than maybe some people like. My family likes it this thick instead of having it run down the sides of the biscuit. So it's more kind of like a sandwich, I guess. And now the eggs are done. And I got 2 of the kids' plates ready. But I still have more eggs to go, so. And those ones, the eggs actually turn out the way that they're supposed to, so that was nice. Yeah, as you can see there, you can see that it's starting to get a little bit dark yellow on the one egg right there. And that one's going to be probably close to medium, but the other 2 were perfect runny yolks, perfect over easy eggs. And all the rest of them ended up turning out that way too. So that made me happy. You see that jiggle there when I picked it up? That's how you know it's nice and over easy and you're going to have a nice runny yolk. So yeah, all in all, I ended up spending probably about $12 total for everything to make this meal, and it could feed about 12 people. And it has fed 12 people several times actually. So on average, it's probably about $1 a plate, and so yeah, that's not too bad. Where are you can't really get that anywhere. So I hope you all like my video. Thank you.